So the title of the video says governance, and you clicked on this anyway to listen. This is Lars here at New to Crypto, New to DeFi, series of videos here at the DeFiStandard.com, where you'll find the research and the teaching of Mckey B. Fresh and Patty XRP. So governance. I got to admit, I would not have clicked on an XRP or FLR video a year ago about governance myself. But I'm super excited about it now. I want to try to share it with you in a way that makes sense, and the meaningfulness of this and the powerness of this and the possibilities of it, not just for the FLR network, but kind of for the way we do the world. So thanks for daring to click on governance. How powerful is it? How powerful is this Youpower that you have? So there's going to be a FLR Foundation. Out of the 100 billion tokens, 20 billion will be given to the FLR Foundation, and their job is to kind of run things, to pay for projects to be done, consider things, and make things flow. How much power do you have? You don't like it. If we don't like it, we can vote them out of existence. So that's pretty powerful. What's going to happen with FLR Limited, the organization that built this? So they've had all of the centralized power, and they have built FLR network, and to date they're making a lot of decisions, the initial parameters and stuff like that. Eventually almost all of those will be decided by governance votes that you and I have based on how many FLR we have. What's FLR Limited going to do? The company that built this, Hugo, the CEO, is that we're basically going to disappear into the network. They're going to have 20 billion tokens. I think that's the right number. They're going to have a lot of tokens. They're not going to have a majority. They're not going to be able to do anything on their own. They're going to fade into the network, and they're going to run and operate it just like anybody else who has tokens. So this is an extraordinary focus on decentralization, a commitment to that, and I'm excited, of course, from the perspective of investing in this and looking for a return, but I'm actually really deeply excited about this in terms of how's it going to work. Is this big game that they're playing, this big dare that they're taking on trusting you and me, trusting token holders to make decisions that are going to strengthen the FLR network and make it more valuable over time? That's a big, big game they're playing. Would you do that, like with your power and your assets? Would you decentralize them, or would you look to I want to hold those decisions for myself? So I stand in admiration of this move towards decentralization. Now, technically, the Spark token is going to have three different functions, and one of them we discussed in the last video, number 9, the FTSO, the FLR Time Series Oracle. For every Spark token you get a vote that you can delegate to the signal providers, the people who are out gathering the data from the real world and bringing it onto the network. So that's one piece. Second piece is that each token has an asset value. And that asset value you can use, you can invest it, you can buy it, you can sell it. So that's the second function, the asset value of the Spark token, the FLR coin. The third is this governance. With each FLR token, with each Spark token that you have, I don't know why we have both names for those. Same thing. With each FLR token that you have, you get one governance vote. All right? So what can you do with governance? If you read through the white paper, I was looking at it today, there's 96 different instances of where the word governance is used, from setting interest rates, setting the FTSO interest, setting how much it will cost in percentage to mint F assets. Currently, initially set at 5%. The FTSO set at 10% inflation. Things like this, many, many, many more are set by governance. And if you want to know those details, go look at the white paper, or deeper into the DeFi standard and find that information for yourself. But for me, in this general overview, I just want to share how deeply committed FLR is to governance, to us having the ability to control the different features of this network, and believing that that decentralization process is the route to success, is the route to gaining the confidence that people are going to bring their assets to the FLR network and to use them there. Okay, so another piece I wanted to talk about that inspires me about FLR governance is that it's actually based on a liquid democracy. And you look up in philosophies of democratic traditions and you'll see liquid democracy there. In the United States, we have a representative democracy where we vote on people to represent us. And we know how that process, although it's supposed to be democratic and distributed, it has pieces in it that end up being centralized. And those who are representatives can then control things in ways that are not necessarily reflective of those who voted. Also, it's okay to have, what are those called? Lobbyists who are coming in and lobbying these different powers and all the centralization that goes with that. And if you think of fiat money, even in the name of it, how is fiat money created? By central banks, centralized powers, the Federal Reserve. So something very different is going on in FLR governance. And another piece that I said is inspiring here is this liquid democracy. So with every Spark token, you have one vote. Now, you can vote yourself with that vote, and you can use it directly. But you can also realize that somebody like, let's say I wanted to delegate my vote to Mckey because he knows so much and he's trustworthy. I could actually take my vote, liquid democracy, I could delegate it to Mckey, and he could vote for me. So you see the power of this and then I could take it away anytime I wanted and do it myself. But instead of having to choose a representative like we do for Congress, we have this liquid, this fluid capability to either vote directly ourselves or to choose someone that we would trust to vote for. So that even goes to second order. Now, Mckey could say, I don't really have time to do this. That'd be unbelievable, right? But let's say I delegated my vote to let's say Patty. And Patty goes, I know a lot. I appreciate that you're delegating this to me, but I'm going to delegate mine to Mckey. So you can even do this on a secondary level, liquid democracy. And if you are trusting the people who are on the network to do the best to make the network strong, and they're finding strong representatives through this liquid democracy process, can see that it has the possibilities of being a very powerful thing. So there are many, many details of that, right? There's many things that have to be tweaked. So if you listen to Lisa Jai Tan, you can look her up. Her middle word there of the names is Jai, J-Y. She's written a great book on tokenomics and the math and everything that's going on there. But she repeatedly makes the point, she also has YouTubes out, that in the real world that we've had an economy, we've had a nature, natural resources, trees, and around that we've had to make decisions about governance, about distribution, redistribution, those kinds of things. But we had a setup, and on that we began to make adjustments for how we could create an economy and a society out of that. And what Lisa brings up often, and for me very powerfully, is the difference in crypto. You simply basically start with an idea, and you take that idea and you build it into a place where you believe that there's a question to be answered, and that you can answer that question in a way that's going to provide utility for the users. this piece of how it's opposite, instead of beginning with sort of the natural resources and the people who are there, you begin with an idea and you build an entire system, and then you put parameters in there for how it will work. And the governance piece is the ability to shift that idea, to tweak it, to make it most effective. And instead of these brilliant people who created FLR being given all the power to sit down and do that, part of their bet of a system that's going to work is to put that governance in the hands of you and me. So I have a couple reasons that I want to do good governance. One of them is, of course, that I want this thing to work as best as possible, personally for myself, so that I gain the biggest return. But also societally, if they win at the game that they're choosing to play here, about bringing on assets, pricing them against one another, and bringing liquidity and asset value to the world, well, that seems like a very powerful game that I completely support. But another reason, like I've said, that I'm so excited about this is that they're creating a system, this liquid democracy, this ability to participate, this trust in people, returning trust to people instead of to central authorities. I'm super inspired by that. If this can serve as a model for others to use, not only in cryptocurrency, but in other organizations in the future, that gives me some inspiration. It gives me some hope for things becoming better in places in this world where we could certainly use improvements. So I'm a big fan of this. I'm all behind it. If you listen to this long in a video about governance, maybe you're just as excited as me. Okay, that's all I got for this time. Take care.